So greetings. I am in the middle of making marmalade right now. I am making grapefruit marmalade. Our grapefruit tree is producing like crazy, so my hair is up. I am in grubby old clothing as a result. I really wanted to talk today about a number of things. First, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. I wrote for Pathos for almost 10 years. I wrote a column on a site called No Longer Quivering. I wrote about religion. And some of what I'm going to say today has to do with how to handle religion. Hey, plays. So, anyway, I'm not going to nag you to do the YouTubey things, but if you could do the YouTubey things, like, dislike, whatever, it would be really great. I know I never talk about that stuff. People are saying, why don't you say those things? I keep forgetting. I am kind of all over scattered brain. I write better than I talk. I'm getting better at it thanks to YouTube forcing me to. So there's that. I don't know how many of you look at Reddit. I look at Reddit quite a bit, 2 or 3 times a day at least. And one of my favorite parts of Reddit is this column called Am I the A-hole? And I don't post much there, but I like to read through them and figure out, hey, Carolyn, figure out if I think somebody is stepping over the line or not. Well, yesterday I ran across an interesting one. Hey, Lisa. It was by a place in the rain. I've not seen you here before. Good that you're here finally. Usually I got my replay crew. I know them. Some of them I don't. They surprise me when they pop up like you. So anyway, this a-hole one was a college-age girl that had a boyfriend. And she had a severe peanut allergy, which some of us suffer from. I do too. So I was interested to read this one. She was trying to sue the boyfriend to pay for an EpiPen and a $5,000 hospital bill because she'd been with him 4 or 5 years. She'd asked him repeatedly not to eat peanuts or peanut butter around her, not come to her when he had. What happened was he kissed her after eating peanut butter candy. She had one of those reactions like you're liable to have if you have a peanut allergy, and ended up in the ER with the EpiPen hanging out of her leg. Girl, I feel you. Well, reading through and reading some of her responses, I started thinking, she's with somebody that doesn't respect her needs at all. And I sat there and I watched her make excuses for him. And I'm not a person that believes in banning people from eating stuff. My husband knows I have a peanut allergy that I developed in my 40s after years of eating peanuts and peanut butter. I know he loves peanut butter. So the deal is when he does eat it, which is rarely because it's so high in fat and calories, I keep saying, you don't need that. You don't need that. He does it at his desk. He has a special peanut butter spoon that does not go with the rest of our spoons that he cleans. And he has this spoonful of peanut butter. And I'm just a heck away from him because we respect each other a fair amount. So I started looking at this girl and her responses and the things that she was saying, and it was pretty obvious that the boyfriend doesn't respect her at all. She doesn't have good boundaries with him. She doesn't have good boundaries over her own health, and your health is an important thing. It's really one of the more important things that you could do. So today I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what do you do? Not so much when someone pushes your boundaries, but if you have somebody that's continually disrespecting you, causing you problems in your life, there's a solution for that requires you to do very little. And I've used it very effectively in my life. Even when I've had to deal with, I'm just going to say problematic family members, I've used this technique. So I started thinking about this a lot because of Red's rampage, JKJ declassified, because of what she did to Ren yesterday. Real Entertainment News. Now, Ren is controversial. I understand that. Like him or dislike him, it is what it is. And it doesn't disliking somebody does not mean that we're supposed to go after them with an axe and all this other stuff. Red's rampage did one of the most crazy manipulative things I've seen in a long time. It's crazy attempt at manipulation. I didn't watch the entire video because I couldn't put up with it. But the first 10 minutes or so, she cried on camera. She cried and wept and wailed and accused Real Entertainment News of deliberately provoking her by posting a picture of a clown. Apparently, she had some type of childhood trauma involving a clown. I don't know. I haven't kept up with her. But instead of saying, please don't do this, you're provoking me, she went into the manipulation territory. She started crying and complaining and whining and just being extremely emotional. Okay. And one of the people that fusses about people using emotions on their YouTube channel is BX Beast Boy. He may have a point, even though sometimes he will go into the, I'm going to be canceled territory, which the sad fish, which gets on my nerves when he does that. He's better than that. He shouldn't be sad fishing, crying. Angel Play, another one catching alive. Awesome. So Ren was pretty devastated yesterday. I talked to him for a little while on the phone, and he thinks it's another white woman attacking him and it's racist. There might be an element of that. I have to say that, because I've noticed with Black male creators on YouTube that they do tend to get reported, overwhelmed, written about, all this horrible crap by white Karen types. So there might be some of that in there. I'm just going to say it. Hidden racism is a thing. And I'm realizing this more and more the older I get. And even having a YouTube channel, I sometimes get it. I get people that say, oh, you're too dark to be white, or you're too whatever, you're too blah, blah, blah. I had somebody recently, I got to talk about this. I recently did a video, maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago, about a creator named Ron that has a channel called Faces of the Forgotten. I enjoy Ron's content. My issue with Ron, and I said it very plainly, was that he had flew a drone into St. Louis 1, which is, you're forbidden to film it. Here's what a lot of people who aren't from New Orleans don't know. You can't film any of the Catholic cemeteries in New Orleans. Filming is forbidden. It's one of their rules. It's posted at some places. Ron was bent out of shape that he couldn't go in there without a tour guide, and didn't seem to understand it's because there's been so much destruction there. There have been so many statues that have been destroyed. So I said all that, and I was actually pretty kind about it. We are all one race, the human race. And Angel, I believe that, but I'm just going to say people tend to do racist things. And I was of the opinion that we were a post-racial society until Barack Obama got elected, and I got to see people I knew making race a thing. So now I'm looking at race in a whole different way that I've never looked at before. And that, there might be at least a little bit of truth to this. It is race sometimes. So back to Ron. So I said these things. I said, Ron, you should not be filming in there because it's forbidden. And St. Louis 1, you could see on his video all the family gravestones that had been vandalized in the years before the archdiocese locked the cemetery and only let family members in and tour groups. Ron did not want to take a tour group. He just wanted to get in there and film. It's not allowed. I said it wasn't allowed. I said he needs to do better next time. And you would think that just saying that wouldn't be such a controversial thing. I'm just correcting somebody that I actually like. I want him to do better. I like his content. His fans showed up in droves. I had tons of them that accused me of not being Cajun, even though I'm related to every Boudreaux, Landry, and LeBlanc out there. And I have relatives in St. Louis 1, St. Louis 2, St. Roch, all these different, because my family's been there for a long time. And it got pretty crazy. I'm still getting nasty comments from Ron's supporters. And here's where it's crazy. They're not dealing with the fact that Ron broke a rule. He broke a pretty big one in New Orleans, a big no-no. So they're justifying it by hitting me with personal attacks, which is really tacky and stupid, but they've also taken it to race. I have had people say, oh, you're not Cajun. I've had some of the supporters say, shut up, you mud person. I'm just going to say that. Somebody of mixed race. Well, I am mixed race, but not the way they're thinking, not the way they're accusing me of. I've talked about this before. I'm part Cajun. I'm part Native American. I have Native American blood. I'm part Jewish blood. I'm on Heinz 57. And the last time when we had our, what do you call those things? When you get your DNA analyzed, there was some African in there too. So I'm not entirely surprised at all that I've got mixed blood. But I am surprised by Ron supporters making that into the thing they were going to throw at me. That is awful. Awful on a level I can't even talk about. So seeing Red's rampage, trying to manipulate everybody by crying over a black man supposedly saying something or putting up an image of a clown that freaked her out, it's pure manipulation. When people around you that are trying to control you start saying these things in an attempt to control you, when they make racist comments, when they start crying, or they act out and start doing things, and then they accuse you of doing something, the kindest thing you can do, and the thing that I've started doing, and it may not resolve the situation, but here's the thing, it will give you total peace. Sorry, sort of choked up asthma-y today. It's a method I call gray rocking. And I've talked about this a number of times. Gray rocking works. What do you do when you gray rock? You don't say or do much. You give them no ammo. You might say things like, oh dear, that's too bad. Or how unfortunate. You're not involved. It's like, hey, Christoph fan. It's not shunning, Rose. It's different than shunning. When you shun somebody, you just ignore their existence altogether. When you gray rock, you don't ignore their existence. But if it's a narcissist attempting to manipulate you, you don't give them any fodder. You give them no fodder whatsoever. I've had to do this to a number of people in my life. Recently, I was at a family home in the States. I had a family member that started doing the same kind of crying and carrying on that JKJ Declassified was doing in her video yesterday, and making all kinds of claims and stuff. And instead of reacting, you know what I did? I did something hateful, but it's gray rocking. I sat there and read my book. I didn't rush in there and go, oh my gosh, what's wrong? How can I resolve this? It's just like, no, I'm not feeding into that. I'm not letting that person manipulate me. It does need to be resolved. And I did tell Ren yesterday that I think he needs to gray rock her. If he responds at all, it needs to be, oh my, that's tragic, or something like that. She's making more claims and videos, most definitely, Christoph Ann. She's saying things about Ren that aren't true about Real Entertainment News. Regardless of how you feel about him, he is not the devil. He's not even close. He is what he is. I kind of like the guy. Like I've said, I'm so friendly with him. There are things he does and says that I'm not totally in favor of or in love with. But he does have a point. Nobody ever defends him. Everybody just lets him get torn to shreds. And all it does is it reinforces the cycle where he says and does more atrocious things. I think we need to start de-escalating crap on the internet, because if you don't, you end up with the kind of insanity I watched the other night on a fictional television show where everybody was hunting for gold in Los Angeles, and they were pulling out guns and knives and shovels and killing each other to be the first one to get to it. these internet things seem to have a life of their own, and sometimes they have really tragic consequences. And I always say, it's the internet. Why are you taking it so seriously? So when you gray rock somebody, especially if it's somebody in your real life and you're not giving them any info, it's a powerful move. You are taking back your own power as a person. You are not allowing them to manipulate you and to push you into, it is a deflection. You're not allowing them to, pour gasoline on the fire. You're not pouring gasoline on the fire. You're giving them their space. I know she's constantly calling, threatening to call the police on him. And it's sad because the things she's using as evidence are things like a phone call thing that she got from somebody else and then edited to make it sound like he's threatening her. I tell you about him. He's not like that. He's actually has his moments of niceness. And I think there are times that we just have to do those things. One of the best gray rocks I've seen is Tina. You may or may not know Tina. Tina is part of the KJ truther community. For the past, I don't know how many months, well, KJ's been claiming for ages that Tina was defaming her on Tina's Facebook group. I am a member. For a while, I was a mod of that group. And the group hasn't even acted. It hasn't been active for like a year or more. But still, she's claiming to have been defamed there. So she's been going after Tina legally. She has been going. Tina is a queen. I love Tina. I'm just going to come right out and say it. She's been legally going after Tina, and I think she just filed on Tina, if I read the information right. I think this is now lawsuit number 7 or 8 that KJ is involved in. So throughout this, with her taking out a restraining order against Tina, I think that's what it was. Don't quote me. I've got senior citizen brain, and I've got 1,000 pounds of grapefruit in there I'm making marmalade out of. So my brain is a little foggy today. Tina has completely gray rocked KJ in the situation, just completely turned into that immovable rock that cannot be triggered, that cannot be pushed into doing and saying all these things. Tina has done like I had to do to somebody I was related to. You just don't involve yourself because you can't. And if you say anything, it has to be that bland, non-involved, just impersonal thing. Oh, that's unfortunate. Or how nice for you. Something that is just does not. And there is some very scary stuff going on. I'll agree with that. But you can't react to it. That's the thing. Hey, Kara. You just can't react to it. Yes, Angel Play. That's exactly what she does. And I keep calling her without a box of Kleenex because she does tend to do some gross things that she could use Kleenex. And I've been tempted to send her Kleenex, but I haven't done it because I don't want to be accused of stalking her any more than she's already accused me of stalking her. She's saying all this stuff about I should have known who I am. Yesterday, I linked to a video where she was calling me her BFF forever. And so there's a lot of disingenuousness going on there. So I think there's some of us in the community are better off gray rocking her. I'm trying not to talk about her. I haven't been very successful lately because she has really triggered me when she took my story of leaving my CULT church and taken it almost word for word and shared it as her own. So there is that. So Tina is the queen of gray rocking as far as I'm concerned. I told Ren yesterday he needs to gray rock this person because I don't think they're very stable. That is one thing that I have noticed about the internet. Well, not the internet, since I started doing videos here. And this was something that I started doing because Pathos pushed me to do it. Oh, you got to do these to improve engagement. Well, I ended up quitting Pathos and continuing on with this. And it's not like I was ever making money for months and months and months. I was not eligible for living in Costa Rica. They reversed that eventually. So this is not about money at all. It's about helping other people. And I think that that's one of the things that we're put on this earth to do. I always say that my faith in God is a very different thing now than it used to be when I was at my old church. It most definitely is. It doesn't fit easy in a box, but it is still there. It's just very different than it once was. And I really, to this day, I think that's what we're here. I mean, even if I keel over dead this afternoon from another stroke, and that may happen, I'm going to continue to make these videos on these things, on these subjects, because so many of us have so many similar life experiences. Hey, Prairie. So if we're having all these similar life experiences, we should really share what we do to deal with them. And for me, gray rocking, when I discovered this 2 years ago, was a huge part of the equation, because I do have family members, in-laws, outlaws that will sometimes pull a crazy. I have people I know that I consider acquaintances that will sometimes pull the crazy and will try to manipulate you. People will. That's one thing that was shocking to me when I discovered that someone was claiming I was her friend. How many times she had attempted to manipulate me or had stolen content. Sometimes I realized it and stopped it. Sometimes I did not. I just had not a clue about it. I shared yesterday, I had a very unhealthy friendship with a lady out in California named Gail, who and I were just reinforcing each other's worst tendencies. And I did not gray rock her. I allowed her to hurt me. I'll never do that again. Now I have much tighter boundaries. I practice gray rocking the moment anybody, I assume they try to manipulate me. And if I find out later that they're extremely genuine, there's no manipulation going on, then I apologize usually and say, hey, I'm sorry I acted like that. I may have been a little triggered based upon some of my former relationships in my past. My dad's older sister and brother put the crazy all the time. Dad and I gray rock them now after years of pain. Lisa, that's all you can do. One of my elderly relatives is older than me, considerably older than me. I sometimes have to talk to them after they've had a few drinks, and it reminds me of a certain somebody. And they're not rational. And when I have to talk to them when they're in that state, I gray rock them. I have to for my own safety. Because if I don't, this person is going to come out with more and more vicious stuff in an attempt to manipulate me. And I'm just not going there. I'm too old and too cranky to be putting up with this stuff any longer from anybody. So it's a good technique to learn and to put into practice. It is absolutely wrong. But Ren is inexcusably, he has his rude moments and his bringing the attacks. The smoke is wherever. I agree, Rose. I told him yesterday he just needs to shut that stuff down and not bring attacks. I think that he probably does it to get eyes on the videos, because I know a lot of creators that do that. I'm not going to call them out. There are some creators that are always involved with some kind of drama all the damn time, that are always either attacking while claiming to be the victim, or just claiming victimhood over something that is not even real. So here's the thing. I think that we have to call these people out when they do these things, but I think we also have to have a little understanding and help them out. I've just thought that for a long time, because, our life on earth here is too short to be allowing people to pull nonsense all the damn time. And it behooves us to really be very teaching. Everything in this world is a teachable moment, is what I'm learning in my lifetime. That's one thing that I never understood. Rose, that's the real, the real, the kind guy. So I'm not sure. I think that if he thinks that you are being racist to him, and like I said, there is some truth in his statements, I think, about some of these attackers being racist because of the fact that they don't do this to creators of the same race as them. So I think there is actually a little bit about that that is true. And I think that he is very sensitive to it because he's lived a lifetime of this. Growing up black, mixed race, Hispanic, whatever in the States is not a good, is not the same experience as growing up white, unfortunately. I would like to see that change. I would like to see in the country everybody be treated the same, no matter what color you are. But until that happens, we're in a world where we have to really look at things through a filter and say, is racism involved in this thing? A lot of times there is at least a little drop of that in there. At least I want to encourage him to be kind, Rose. When I talk to him and I've tried to interact with him, I have tried to encourage him to be kind because I know in his heart he is. He's a kind person. But I also understand that he's had PTSD and he's being triggered. Now, I didn't watch the whole video that Red's Rampage put up because I just couldn't. It was just like, oh, manipulation. So that triggers me and I shut down. That's the other part of gray rocking. Is sometimes when I gray rock, I'm too triggered to actually have a response. So I know that if I respond in the trigger, I'm going to be over the top nasty. So it's better to gray rock and say nothing than it is to excoriate the person with my tongue. It really is. It's not helpful. The inequality is shameful. It most definitely is shameful. It's shameful. And like I said, I really want to see this done in this country. That's another thing that Duggar fans will throw at me when I talk about the Duggars. They will sometimes say, you look like you're mixed race, so you shouldn't say anything. Or they'll say things like that. I had one the other day that laughingly, she said, he is an easy target, Christoph fan. That is why he's getting the pushback. He's an easy target. He's easy to trigger his own PTSD, so you know you're going to get a reaction. And that enables them to double down and play victim. And I'm convinced that's a lot of what's going on. Why there's so much drama and pushback with Ren. I don't think it's entirely him trying to get eyes on his page. I think there's a lot of triggering going on there as well. You know, I haven't talked to Real about his childhood or what he's experienced, but I can just imagine. I know what mine was like. So these Duggar huggers are the same way. And one of them told me the other day, I left her comment up, but I'm going to move it to Jerks Through Jesus eventually as I get a little more time. But I had to laugh at because the last thing she ended with is, well, the Duggars are healthy and you look unhealthy. I didn't bother to tell her, of course I'm unhealthy. And she was thinking I was in my 40s. So that was kind of a comedy too. She sent me an email message saying, it's disgusting that you look so old and you're in your 40s. And I didn't even bother to correct her. I said, if I did, I'd say, honey, I am in my 60s. So you thinking I look bad at 40 is a we do need to celebrate and learn what makes us different without from a portion of equality. I think that's exactly right. Yeah, he does need to deal with his own stuff. As we all do. We all have to. And I think that's one of the things why people are so angry with Wet a Box of Kleenex is that she plays on it and exploits these things. I threw my back out a couple days ago. It's better, thank God. I figured out what it was. This is the dumbest thing. This is what senior citizenhood is like. It's because I changed out my pillows and I no longer sleep on my pillow, my memory foam pillow for my neck. So just that one little change has given me 3 or 4 days of back pain. I removed the pillow because memory foam is hot as hell, and I'm living in a hot place. I don't really want to get sweatier at night. I don't run the AC all night, but it's amazing what a little thing can do. So, where was I going with this? Um, so it's this little change. So anyway, I don't know. I just know I'm not chasing narcotics like somebody else I could mention my back pain. I had a point I was going somewhere with it, and then I totally lost it. I apologize. I think we all have PTSD at some level, unfortunately. I am convinced of it. The more I live, the more I see everybody's pain is unique and different. We all try to handle it in different ways. The Duggar huggers don't understand that those of us that are reacting negatively to the Duggars are reacting in our own PTSD. We can see exactly how toxic that world is and say, hey, this is toxic. Linen sheets keep you cool. Angel, I would love to have linen sheets. You know what's available here? Microfiber at best. I have a wonderful set of linen sheets on bed in the other bedroom. Designer ones that I bought in the States about a year before I got here. They're really nice. I have some nice cotton ones that I've seen only once here that I bought that are now ripped. So I am using Gloria Vanderbilt microfiber ones because it was the best sheets that I could manage to get here. When I go to the States next, which I think will probably be January at this rate, I thought I was going home for Thanksgiving, but I'm not. Next, which I think will probably be January at this rate. I thought I was going home for Thanksgiving, but I'm not, turns out. Well, I was going to see my mother, I should say. It's going to be January at this rate. I will buy sheets then. I will get me some good heavy-duty cotton ones. I have it from what I've seen police do right in front of me. I think that even the police have their own PTSD. Lisa, for me, pillows are a little bit problematic because they can collect dust and dander and all that other stuff. So I have to, if I use a regular pillow, I have to change it out every 3 to 6 months tops. And right now I have a bunch of ones that are allergy and asthma foundation certified that I can use. So I'm not even sure I could use that. So I'm going to go back to my microfiber one. I'm going to see if I can get one of those cooling pads that goes on top of it and wait and buy the sheets. That is my life now. Pandemic has screwed up so many things here. It's screwed up the ability to get anything from the States worth a damn. The supply chain problems have made that problematic too. So instead of me going online, ordering from Amazon and having it here in a week and a half, it's a little bit different now. Everybody's telling me to sign up for Liberty Express. So that's one of my things I have to do tomorrow, not today. Today is my husband's big teaching day, and he takes the car and he goes off for the day. And I do all the messy stuff like making marmalade. Like I got my quilt I got to put together. I do all that on my Wednesdays. That's my Wednesday. Or if I have, like right now, I have my little backache. Normally I would have just taken the day off and worked on my book, which I'm still working on daily. So you can wash them. Okay. Maybe I'll have to get one of those while I'm in the States because I know they're available here, but not there. There, but not here. Whereas my nice allergy and asthma foundation ones are available here. They supposedly be able to wash them. Lisa, I'll have to buy one of those while I'm in the States too because I've used those in the past. The problem that I have is I have thin discs in my neck and I have thin discs in my back. I've actually lost about a half inch in height. You tell me that's normal when you're older. So I've lost a little height, and that's what's going on there. But back to all of this. I mean, and I think gray rocking is especially important if you're being triggered with your PTSD. It's much better to do that than it is to go ahead and react and say, oh, I hate you, you're not fighting and all that, because that doesn't really accomplish anything. And you may be triggering the other person into their PTSD, and then we're all fighting and stuff. That's one of the things I'm not happy with the pandemic about. Not here, not here. I'm not seeing it here, thank goodness, except a couple of times when I'm seeing people coming from the States. But one of the things I've noticed when I've been in the States since the pandemic, and I've seen so many articles about this, is how angry everybody is with each other and how much fighting there is. And people are getting worse. They're getting way worse, and I don't get it. When did we stop being kind to each other? I know sometimes it's very tempting to flip the bird and go on. God knows I thought about it. When Ron's fans just kept being stupid, I certainly thought about doing a video where it's like, ooh. But I decided that was not the response. The response was just to say, hey, look at what you're doing. Or no response, and just take them off. It's the same thing with my public email box. You should see the emails I get. Some of them end up at Jerks for Jesus. Some of them are very comedy almost. It's like you don't even realize that what you're saying is so ridiculous. No response and ignore is sometimes the most powerful thing you can do. It strips them of the power to agitate you and to make you respond. If they can make you respond, they've won some kind of crazy little thing. Now, the person that attempted to manipulate me that day is no longer speaking to me because I did not react that day. And you know something? I am fine with that. I hate to say that. There's times when it's nice to take a break from somebody. If they're triggering you and doing that, that strips of their fix. Yes, there's no narcissistic supply. You're not giving them anything that they can use to build themselves up to feel better about themselves. It's better just not to engage. It's what I've discovered through the years with these things and these people and various things. And that's gotten hard for me to do sometimes because my first stroke I've had two. I had a TIA, one of the little tiny ones, a little mini stroke, like, how long ago was that? 3 years ago, almost exactly. And it took me about 6 months before I started feeling normal again after that. I got to give you a cautionary tale. I had been on I was doing keto hardcore for like 4 or 5 months. And I had this little tiny TIA. And they say that's one of the dangers of being on keto too long is it can cause these things. All I know is for the first time in my life, my blood was like Crisco. And so after talking to my neurologist, I had to realize that was not what I need to be doing to lose weight. So that went by the wayside. I'm trying to get Dr. Jordan Wagner right now to do a series on dieting because there's so much information out there that is so wrong. You're right. It is hard to ignore. So that's what I'm talking about with the stroke. It was hard to ignore because with that stroke of this one I had in my thalamus that they tell me is more genetic and other things going on. One of the hardest things about having any kind of brain injury, and I'm just going to come out and say this, whether you have a concussion or whatever, concussion, stroke, whatever it is that it's a hard 6 months recovery. It's a fatigue beyond any fatigue I've ever felt. I can say that. And the other thing for me, and I've seen others say this, is that your nerves become like wires that have been stripped of all their insulation. You know how, like, let me grab this. This is my replacement wire for my iPhone. You know that these things, they get where it's all broken up and the wire and this white insulation is completely stripped off and you have bare wire. I would say for the first 6 months after a stroke, that's what you're like. All your nerves are like that. Your nerves are right on the surface. They're very easy to spark. It's very easy to make you grumble, gripe, groan, complain, and lose your damn mind. One of the things that has stuck with me since the last one, I'm very intolerant of noise. If I go into a situation where it's very noisy, and that's a shame because I've always liked to see live music, and I can't do that anymore. That is gone. I quit singing with worship team. I can't handle the noise of the band. It's just something about it grates on my nerves. So there's going to be those times with all of us that you get where you can't ignore this stuff. This stuff just keeps going on. And what I've had to do, like another time I was visiting another family member, and the other family member was being crazy wild, loud. I had to just take myself off to my room and stuff my ears with my earplugs because I was just going to go nuts. Angel, I sometimes will wear earplugs in the airport for that reason. I have a bag that is all my stuff that helps me sleep. It's got a couple bags of sleepy time tea. It's got earplugs. It's got my lovely eye thing. It's got all that in it. I travel with that. I put that right in my carry-on because I don't know when I'm going to fall asleep on the plane and need to cover my eyeballs, or so I'm going to go through a very noisy airport and have to stuff my ears, or I'll be reacting all over the place, and it won't be nerve damage from that is intense and insane. I don't know what that's like, but I do know what it's like to have nerve damage from having a thalamic stroke, and it's been the pits. And while I'm grateful for Lyrica because it's helped me deal with a lot of the problems I've had with it, I am not happy with my feet are swollen every day up like balloons because of the stupid Lyrica. I would really rather not be taking any of this nonsense, but I am. Airports are the worst. They're the worst. So then it becomes a trick of how do you not react to these things in such a way that you harm other people? Harm reduction. I'm all about that. If you can come up with a way for you to cope with things, and sometimes it takes somebody else, somebody close to you, say, hey, let's do X, Y, and Z. The other day, when I started having email after email after email from Duggar Huggers, that I had one nasty comment on the YouTube channel. And I was already stressed out because I'm putting this quilt together and I'm just losing my mind over it. It hasn't worked out at all like it was supposed to. The pattern was very wrong. I modified the pattern. My calculations were wrong. So I was working on it, trying desperately to get it ready to be put to get sandwiched together with the backing and the quilting so I can quilt and get the damn thing done. So I'm grumbling over all these things. They're doing construction work right down the road from us. So I'm hearing the lot graders and all that. And it's just messing with my mind. Just so cranky. It's like taking the wire harness from a car and smushing it with a hammer and then putting it back in the car and expecting to work right again. Oh no, that's terrible, Lisa. That's terrible. So I was so cranky. My husband said, come on, we're going. I said, where are we going? We're going to the beach. I said, I don't want to go to the beach right now. Are you kidding? I like going to the beach. And like I've said, I'm 10 minutes from 10 beaches here, but I was trying to get some stuff done. I was starting to cook dinner. I had too much stuff on my plate and I was annoyed by some of it. I was like, nah. He made me go to the beach with him. And I'm glad I did because by the end of the beach, I was completely, utterly, and totally relaxed, which I needed because we went to the expensive gringo grocery store, and it's never a good idea to go in the grocery store if you're hungry. And we were in that grocery store hungry. Hadn't eaten dinner. It was like 7:30. So you'll spend a ton of money doing that, but it is what it is, as I frequently say here. So part of the gray rocking is knowing yourself. It's knowing what you're capable of. It's knowing that you're going to have to step back and measure yourself and say, where am I? Where am I on this? What will it take to de-escalate? What will it take? And to do it. I've been stalking in the background while driving. Hey, T King, don't wreck your car. Salt air is healing. And not only that, I've always said for me personally, and I know that it's not the same for everybody, but for me personally, if I could walk in the ocean and put my feet in the waves, I feel immeasurably better. I wasn't even grumbling about the fact that we were at Tamarindo Beach at sunset and it was 10,001 gringos on the beach. I just ignored them and got in the surf. Barbara, you're just going to have to hit the replay crew like so many do, and like I end up doing. Like, I still have to go look at Aaron's video about Tina and this possible lawsuit. Like I said, Tina is the best example of gray rock I've ever seen. And she has not reacted to that crazy lady at all. I think that's awesome. I'm not always able to do that when she steals my content and starts using it. Also, I wanted to point out, a lot of people are saying, oh, that they suspect her being this person or that person writing for the Sun or wherever. I just want to point out that having pen names and writing for different places is actually not that unusual in the writer world. You can't publish all the time under your name. People think, oh, I'm getting tired of that person. Sometimes you have to use a nom de plume. I have several of them myself that I write for several other publications. Not routinely, but every now and then. And you just do that. That's normal. So we can't really lay something normal. I don't think that Tina has a YouTube channel. You can't lay something normal at the feet of Without a Box of Kleenex and say, oh, this is something we should hold against her. No, it's normal. The other thing that I want to talk about that people are talking about on Twitter, they've asked me directly, is I talked about the fact that there are, on Pathios, there were two of us, two writers, that routinely spoke about the Duggars, myself and another lady. And somebody said, you should look at the other lady's coverage to see if that was being jacked. I did. No, it was not. This other person hasn't written about the Duggars since 2015. And she'd been writing for Pathios for just over 10 years when she stepped away, which it looks like she hasn't published anything since February. I don't know what's going on with her. I wish her well. But she's not somebody I would ever reach out to. Let's put it that way. Let's just put it that way. We've knocked heads a few times. And so it is what it is. Her last thing that she wrote about the Duggars, it was an interesting read. It was comparing the Duggars to the Dion quintuplets. You know, the Dion quints. Yes, back in Canada in the 1930s. Because they were trotted out and publicly displayed as every bit as much as the Duggar kids, and it ruined their lives. So she made some very good points about looking to see in the future how many of the Duggar kids are going to come forward and say that being filmed 24/7 ruined their lives. I don't doubt it. Okay, ladies, have a great day. I'm going to start from the beginning. Hey, yeah, Barbara. I am just going to have to turn around myself and leave because we're getting to almost 50 minutes and I'm running out of steam and forgetting stuff. So anyway, difficult situations, difficult people. You just gray rock. You don't owe anybody. You don't owe anyone a response whatsoever, no matter what they say to you. You owe nobody anything. And know your limits, know your triggers, and behave accordingly. Love you guys. Have a great Wednesday.